The Joel Embiid extension, which went down like yesterday, is just one of the many extensions which went down. From young players such as Trey Young, Luka Doncic, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to aging stars such as Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, and Jimmy Butler, we've seen many extensions this free agency and offseason. Extensions are very fun things to talk about, and today let's talk about what these extensions mean to both the players and their teams.
They be like, what? Can you teach me how to dirty? You know why? Cause all the bitches love it. All I need is a beat that's super bumpin'. And for you to back it up and dump it.
Leave a like on this video and subscribe if you haven't already. I make very regular NBA content, and if this interests you, do check out the channel. Let's just get right into the video. In today's video, let's talk about the three guards from the 2018 NBA draft who got extended this offseason: Trey Young, Luka Doncic, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. The 2018 draft is going to go down as one of the greatest drafts of all time without a doubt, and the two players who are going to headline it are Trey Young and Luka Doncic, who have both been extended to max rookie extensions. Luka has been signed for a $207 million deal and Trey for a $202 million deal. Let's talk about Luka's deal first. Luka Doncic is arguably a top 5 player in the league right now. He's worth every single penny he's been paid and is probably worth a lot more. Luka is without a doubt the best asset in the league and probably the player anyone would like to build around if they had a team right now. He's only 22 years old, which seems ridiculous, and he won't even hit his physical prime until the end of his contract. I feel this extension is when Luka's championship window is officially open. Luka is already ready to win a championship, and him being on your team is a guarantee to a competitive first round series at the least. The Mavs tried to take advantage of Luka being on a rookie contract by getting him a second star with a big contract in Kristaps Porzingis, but we all know how that ended up. Luka being the exceptional talent he is and him wanting to win so badly would probably want a top tier contending team around him at some point during his first extension, which is right now. Can the Mavericks do it is the real question. This offseason too, the Mavericks made a really questionable deal sending away Josh Richardson for a trade exception, and after the last offseason where they made another questionable deal trading away Seth Curry, the Mavericks are in quite a spot right now. Kristaps Porzingis is probably the only untradeable contract in the league and he's on their team. The direction for this Mavericks team is set. They have a player who is without a doubt going to go down as one of the greatest ever, and all they need to do is build a championship team around them. It might be a little too early to say this, but I fear this Luka situation might go down as LeBron's first stint in Cleveland. And being honest with you, I wouldn't even be surprised if Luka asked out before his contract ended with the way player empowerment is going right now. Having Luka is both a boon and a curse. Without a doubt, more of a boon, but having a generational talent changes the entire timeline of your team and any team which is usually run in general. Almost no young player in the history of the league was ready to win a championship in like the second or third year of his career, but Luka already is. The Mavericks don't really have any assets or cap space to sign big name free agents who might be available in the future, and this is quite a big problem for them. It's going to be interesting how the first half of this decade is going to play out for the Mavericks, and I'm very excited in both the positive way and a negative way to see Luka's future. Moving on to the Trey Young deal. I believe for Trey Young's success with the Hawks so far, the Hawks are to be given more credit than the Mavs should be given for Luka's success so far. Trey Young was an all-star starter in 2019-2020. He was amazing all season long, but there weren't really obvious signs that season that he was going to be ready to be the best player on a very good playoff team already. He did average 29 and 10, but there weren't really signs that in his third year he's going to be the best player on an Eastern Conference Finals team. No one really thought he could be that good so early in his career, and rightfully so. But the Hawks trusted their guy. They had arguably the best off-season last year, signing veteran guys who have shown their value in the league, while at the same time doing an exceptional job with their development team of their young players, and it paid off. After a very rocky start to the 2021 season, they made a massive coaching change, giving Nate McMillan the head coach job, and since then, up Earth was the only direction for this team. Trey Young was a massive catalyst for this, donning the villain role in one of the toughest arenas to play, the Madison Square Garden. Being the best player in 2 straight rounds and being pretty damn good in the Eastern Conference were just some things Trey Young did this season. He has proven that he's probably going to be the next best point guard in the league, and the Hawks are doing a beautiful job to build a team around him. He might not be the same player Luka is, but he's as good as it gets without Luka. If the Hawks play their cards right and do the right things with the exceptional young players and talent and the assets they have around Trey right now, they're going to be a problem in the league. In my opinion, they have the best and the deepest young core in the league, and a problem of plenty is something you'd much rather have than a problem of nothing. I'm really rooting for Trae Young and this Hawks team to make real noise in the upcoming seasons, and I can't wait to see Trae's ascension to official superstardom and the Hawks' ascension to a championship contender. Just like Luka, Trae is worth every single penny he has been paid this offseason. And finally, let's talk about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Shai is one of the more conflicting players in the league right now. He's, in my opinion, a top 30-ish player in the league, but some people say he's better than guys he hasn't really proven that he's better than, and some people underrate him so much it's actually hilarious. His ceiling is something I can't really determine, but I can say it's pretty damn high. He's an exceptional playmaker at his size, and that's an amazing quality to have. He was a perfect return for Paul George for the Oklahoma City Thunder, and is and will be their franchise player. Before he got injured last year, he was one of the best guards in the league, and actually led the below average OKC team who was trying to tank to a 500 record. Though this isn't like an exceptional record, leading a team which wanted to tank to a 500 record in the Western Conference, the harder conference, is a massive achievement. With rumors being that he was sidelined for longer than his expected return date just for OKC not to win, just shows how impactful he was in the games he played. I'm really excited to see how he's going to play an entire season for OKC. Coming to the championship window of him with the Oklahoma City Thunder, you genuinely can't tell. The Oklahoma City scouting team is currently scouting 15-year-olds, and for all we know, how good of a job they do at scouting 15-year-old is Shai's championship window. They have a plethora of picks to throw at any frustrated superstar, and Shai's ascension to possible superstardom is what will decide this team's future. Shai is an exceptional player, don't get me wrong, but being the best player on a championship level team is something we might have to see him prove in a full season sample size before determining that as a ceiling. Before ending this video, I want to acknowledge how good young players coming into the league are right now. The past 3 drafts, and probably even this 2021 draft, have all been exceptional draft classes. The 2018 draft had Ayton, who probably will get extended this soon too, and is going to be one of the best big men in the league in the upcoming years. Trae, Shai, and Luka have all been discussed in this video. Michael Porter Jr. is going to be amazing himself, and he should get his bag soon too. And these are only some of the many great guys in this draft, such as Jaren Jackson Jr., who I haven't even talked about, was also a great draft pick in this draft. Moving on to the next draft, the 2019 draft had Zion Williamson and Ja Morant, who are 2 of the most marketable young stars in the league right now. Players such as DeAndre Ayton and RJ Barrett have shown massive flashes of being something great in this league, and many players such as Rui Hachimura, Cam Reddish, PJ Washington, and Tyler Hero are all amazing players in this league too. The 2020 draft is something which I made an entire video about, and I'll link it somewhere in the top right corner like right now. And now we're going to see how well the 2021 draft is going to play out. And from what we've seen in the Summer League and a lot of their play in G League and college, all signs point to this draft being something really great too. We might see max rookie extensions happen more often in the coming future, and that's genuinely great for the league. Watching such young talented guys make so much money and be so great at what they do is genuinely inspirational, and I'm really excited to see how the NBA's future is going to be. And yeah, that's all I have for you today. Stay tuned for more interesting content and check out the video I made about Giannis a while back if you haven't already. And of course, leave a like and subscribe if you're new.